In the next 24 months, Cincinnati is adding new hotels, they're revitalizing historic landmarks, they are upgrading the Bengals Paycor Stadium, and they'll be breaking ground on one of the biggest bridge projects in the country. And here's the thing, these aren't just construction updates. They're the kind of things that can make or break your move. So in this video, we're gonna break it all down. The biggest developments in 2025 and 2026 and how that is shaping Cincinnati's future. We're gonna look at these large infrastructure projects and how that is impacting neighborhoods, communities, and property values. And most importantly of all, what does this mean for you, the buyer, the seller, the investor, and strategic actions that you can take right now? Hey guys, if you're new here, my name's Eric. I'm the team lead at Team Sztanyo. We're kind of relocation specialists here. Every week we're helping first-time home buyers, families, retirees who are looking to move to the greater Cincinnati area. And in this video, I'm gonna give you the insider's look into everything that is new and coming soon that is set to transform our region. All right, let's take a look at these major developments happening in Cincinnati over the next year or two. The first one is the Downtown Convention District and the Marriott Headquarters Hotel. So what's happening here? There's $800 million Convention District redevelopment with a 700-room Marriott Headquarters Hotel opening around 2026. Now, this includes 80,000 square feet of ballroom space, 15,000 square feet of retail, and a skywalk to the convention center. Now, if you've lived in the Cincinnati area for a while, you know that this is a major upgrade that's been needed. So for those of us who live in Cincinnati, we know that this convention center is a major deal. Over the years, we've missed out on a lot of different conventions because the space didn't really work out. We didn't have the hotel space downtown. So this is a big deal for the city to drive in more visitors to the city every single year. All right, so what does this convention center mean? How does it impact the real estate locally? Well, number one, it obviously means if you're gonna have more national events, you're gonna have more people coming in, you're going to have more visitor demand. So let's say you're an owner of a short-term rental downtown, this could be great for you, right? Prices could potentially go up if you have more people coming into town for these conventions. Now, you gotta be careful here. I've had a lot of investors reach out and they're looking for a short-term rental condo or townhome downtown, and depends on the HOA, but if you do own a short-term rental, that could be a very big boom for you. Now, if you're a buyer in the West End, in OTR, or in downtown, you're probably gonna face stiffer competition. So if you're looking specifically to move down into that area, let's say you are downsizing from your house in the suburbs and you're looking to move downtown, well, more demand means prices are gonna go up. It's gonna be a little bit more competition on the buyer side. If you're a seller side, you kind of need to think through timing the different waves of momentum and development when you're going to sell. So you got to think really strategically about when you want to time the sale of a property downtown with these different large development projects. So what's the long-term impact here? Well, you need to realize that this convention development is going to kind of reset what downtown living is really worth, and it's certainly going to have an impact on nearby markets. All right, development number two is the Carew Tower conversion. Now, this is a $162 million redevelopment of Cincinnati's landmark skyscraper, and it's turning into condos or co-working and corporate housing starting in 2025. Completion is expected later in the decade. Now, this is a really interesting one to me. I've been following this for a while, and Cincinnati's kind of been a leader nationwide in converting these large towers downtown into more residential space. So once we left COVID, a lot of that business and commercial space left, and you're seeing more and more of these downtown skyscrapers being converted into residential spaces. Now, there's a lot to that, right? When you think about office space, there's not a bathroom in all these different units. So there's a lot of plumbing that has to go. There's a ton of cost that goes behind it, but changing over the Carew Tower is going to have a major impact here in Cincinnati. So what are some of the impacts here? Well, number one, it sets kind of a new pricing benchmark for downtown condos. That's going to lift comps across the board really for all the downtown living. So you combine that with a convention center and you're starting to see a real impact here. Now, buyers who move in early, they could really gain some extra equity. So if you get in early on a space like this and then prices go up, that can be a huge benefit to buyers. Now, for you investors out there, you might be able to target corporate rental demand because this is a mixed use space. And if you're a seller, again, you got to think about downtown kind of being reset, and you might be able to kind of ride that wave, get that equity, and get more out of your property, especially the closer you are to some of these major projects like the Carew Tower conversion. All right, this next one is near and dear to my heart because I am a huge Bengals fan. I'm super excited for the Bengals in the 2025 season. Yeah, we re-signed Jamar, we re-signed T, We re-signed Trey Hendrickson. I'm just saying the defense might be terrible, but we are going to score a bazillion points, so look out, NFL. But what's going down at Paycor Stadium is the Bengals are staying there. This was a really hotly debated, negotiated item all summer here between the Bengals and Hamilton County. And what's going on is a $470 million Paycor Stadium renovation. The lease has been secured for the next 10 years through 2036, and it might end up even being a few years beyond that. So what's the real estate impact here? Well, number one, it's a huge win for the banks in downtown Cincinnati and all these condos and townhomes that are around the banks and the stadiums downtown. There's not a whole lot of other cities. And in fact, the trend is that more and more the trend nationwide is for these big mega stadiums to be built out in the suburbs somewhere so they can build some amazing thing. Well, Mike Brown, Katie Blackburn, the ownership of the Bengals, they love having the stadium downtown. It's been there for years. They love having it on the Ohio River right there. And so it's staying there. So Joe Burrow and the crew, they kept the stadium right there. And so what does it mean from a real estate standpoint? Well, number one, if you own down by the banks or the riverfront, well, that's great news for you, right? You can kind of lock in that real estate value. You know it's going to be there for at least another 10 years. Number two, if you're a buyer and you want to be able to walk to stadiums and be downtown, you're going to have to pay more of a premium now, right? Those values just went up because that stadium deal is now locked in. Again, if you're an investor and you're looking for short-term rental, that's only going to be a benefit for you. Both downtown, now we've got the convention center, we've got the crew tower, and the stadium down by the bank. So that whole downtown space is kind of getting elevated here. And so if you own a property and you're a seller, you should definitely be marketing the fact that your property is steps away from the upgraded stadium and the entertainment district. That's a huge benefit for you and a selling point you don't want to miss out on. So the original plan on the stadium was going to be like a $1.2 billion renovation, going to have new practice facilities and all that, indoor spaces. That's not happening, but $470 million, new expensive suites I just saw is being launched. It's really going to upgrade the stadium, going to have a big impact on the real estate, again, around the banks and in that downtown area. All right, number four is, I'm not going to lie, it's a huge one, right? This is the Brent Spence Companion Bridge. Now, if you know anything about the traffic patterns in the Cincinnati area, the one major bottleneck is the current Brent Spence Bridge. It's because the interstates I-71 and I-75 are both converging there. There's hills going down into the city. The current bridge is called functionally obsolete. Basically, everyone who goes over that bridge right now is like crossing their fingers and praying that something doesn't happen. There's way more traffic happening on that bridge because it's connecting Michigan down to Florida. There's a ton of freight that's going over that bridge every day alongside of local commuter traffic. So what this new bridge is going to do is separate all of that freight traffic that's going in and through Cincinnati and Kentucky with the local commuter traffic. It's going to be so much better. But this is a $3.6 billion Brent Spence corridor project. It's beginning this year in 2025. They're adding a companion span for Interstate 71 and 75, and they're reconfiguring the existing bridge for local traffic. So this is a major construction project. It's going to be going on for, I believe it's going to be like 8 years on both sides of the river. I mean, there's putting up the bridge, but then there's redoing all the traffic patterns coming down from Ohio and up from Kentucky. What does this mean from a real estate standpoint? Well, in the short term, there's going to be a lot of construction. And so areas nearby where this bridge corridor are, they could see a hit. But in the future, in the long term, you're going to be able to sell basically the fact that you have a quicker commute into downtown. So Northern Kentucky suburbs like Covington, Independence, Florence, Erlanger, or Fort Wright, they're all going to have quicker commute times in downtown. That's going to be really helpful and should help the appreciation in those areas. Overall, there's going to be improved commuter access in the area, but if you're moving to Cincinnati or Northern Kentucky, this is one that I talk about a lot because depending on where your job is going to be, let's say you're in Ohio, but you might be working in Boone County by the airport, or let's say you're in Kentucky, but your job might be in Sharonville in Cincinnati. I recommend to a lot of the people that I talk to every single week that wherever your job is, because this project is going to be so massive, you might want to pick a neighborhood where you're not crossing this bridge. Otherwise, you might be sitting in traffic and pulling your hair out for years to come, and I don't want that to happen to you. So when we talk, let's talk about what area your job might be and maybe pick some neighborhoods around that so the traffic that comes from this construction isn't bothering you every single day. Okay, the last big development I want to talk about is the Emory Theater restoration that is happening downtown. Now, this is a restoration underway. They're going to be reopening in 2026, and there's going to be about 1,600 seats as a new downtown cultural hub. And the reason I wanted to point this one out is recently Cincinnati was in the finals, actually, for the Sundance Film Festival. And a lot of people don't think about this with Cincinnati, but we have a pretty awesome cultural and arts scene. And Cincinnati actually got in the finals nationwide in the top 3 cities for where they were going to choose to move the Sundance Film Festival. And, if you think about the Sundance Film Festival, you think of Robert Redford, you might think of like the Rocky Mountains. You don't necessarily think of the Midwest town of Cincinnati, but it is a great place for movie makers. More and more people are choosing to make movies in Cincinnati for the costs, for the architecture, for honestly the lack of traffic and the how easy it is to make the movie. So one of the things that's really amazing about Cincinnati, especially the Over the Rhine district, is you have all these restaurants, you have all this great architecture. It's very walkable. It's a very flat space. It's a great place for walkability and people desiring to live in that urban core district. So this theater restoration, again, along with the convention center, along with the Carew Tower conversion, along with the Brent Spence Bridge, along with Paycor, all of this is making the downtown hub more desirable, which is going to cause more buyer demand and only help you as a seller if you own property in that downtown and OTR district. All right, we've taken a look at the top developments around Cincinnati's downtown, but Cincinnati is growing. So let's take a look at some of the top new construction neighborhoods that are coming. Now, the first one is Union Village in Lebanon, Ohio. Now, this place is pretty awesome. It's kind of a throwback. It feels a little bit like Mayberry. There's that front porch living feel. All the garages are kind of behind the houses, so you drive down alleys to get into the garages. So you're not seeing parked cars out in front of the street all the time. There's tree-lined streets. There's kind of like this mini-town vibe that appeals to a lot of people who are moving up and also people who are empty nesters looking to retire and move to the area. Now, this is a master planned new urbanist community, adding phases through 2025 and 2026. Current prices start around $470,000, and there are ready-to-build floor plans with a number of different builders. Dries Homes is up there, among others. There's one active spec for about $540,000 that's currently for sale. Now, what about the real estate impact of Union Village? Well, let me just say, it is unique. There are not a lot of neighborhoods like this that have this walkability premium, so it kind of has a hedge against other neighborhoods because it is so unique. You only find places like this if you go back 100 years, basically. So if you're looking at Fort Thomas, Kentucky, for example, that's more of a walkability neighborhood like that, or Madeira, or even Marymount on the Ohio side. But in terms of a new construction feel that's going to have this town-like walkability setting, there is very few other places like that in the Cincinnati area. So if you're one of the buyers who gets in on these early phases before the pool and all these additional phases roll out, you might be able to benefit from that extra equity that is to come. All right, a second new construction neighborhood to look out for is Losh Landing in Mason, Ohio. Now, if you are looking to move to the Cincinnati area, I'm sure you have heard about Mason, Ohio. This is a highly desirable neighborhood because there are great schools. The community is just planned and laid out very well in terms of the infrastructure. You're right there by Kings Island. P&G is there. There's great amenities, retail, restaurants, lots to love about Mason, Ohio. Now, this new Mason community is being built out by Fisher Homes and MI Homes. They're actively selling right now, and prices are starting around $828,000, and there's multiple to-be-built plans to choose from. Now, amenities include ponds, landscape entrances, there's proximity to Cottle Park and Deerfield Town Center, there's easy Interstate 71 access, and you're getting in those coveted Mason schools. So how should you be thinking about this? Well, if you want new construction in Mason, you should probably act pretty fast. From the Fisher reps I've been talking to about this community, homes are going really quick because, a lot of the homes in Mason were built in the early 2000s. So if you're a buyer, you want those top schools and you want new construction, you need to move pretty quickly on this one. Now, if you're a seller, how's this going to impact you? Well, you're getting those new construction comps, which is great. That's only going to raise the prices of homes that might be similar to yours. So if you're thinking of selling in the Mason area, having new construction like this in Losh Landing is only going to help you out to get a higher price point for your sale. All right, the third community we're going to look at is by Traditions Building Group called Mosaic, which is also in Mason, Ohio. Now, this is a mixed-use, walkable new neighborhood, and it's anchored by the new Dorothy Lane Market. Homes are currently from the mid 600,000s to 650s, depending on the plan type. So what are the amenities you're getting here? You're getting a curated dining and retail planned on site. There are lakes, trails, parks, and low maintenance courtyard ranches and townhome options. So what's the benefit of this one? It's really all about walkability. If you understand the Cincinnati suburbs, you know that there's not a lot of walkable communities. You usually have to have your car to drive everywhere, but that's not how Mosaic is being built out. You kind of have a lock and leave upscale convenience with a genuine eat, shop, walk lifestyle. This is a newer thing, but you're seeing more and more of this where it's planned, where people can stay and have walkability in that neighborhood. So I expect this one to kind of be an empty nester magnet. So if you are thinking of downsizing, let's say your grandkids are in the Mason area, but you want to stay in there, but you're looking for a smaller space to upkeep. Again, this is one you might want to look out for, and you should probably move pretty quickly because I think it's going to attract a lot of buyer demand. All right, let's make a transition from the Ohio side to the Kentucky side. Now, I know from talking to so many people who are moving to the area that a lot of people aren't really thinking about Northern Kentucky, but really you should be. From the Cincinnati standpoint, Northern Kentucky is going to offer a lot of benefits. It's going to feel a lot like Cincinnati, but you might even be able to save a little bit on pricing. So let's look at one of the new construction neighborhoods that when I show people, they love this neighborhood, and that is Triple Crown in Union, Kentucky. Now, Triple Crown is a master plan community that's been built out around a championship golf course. It's been built out for over 30 years, but the new homes that are going in are in Justify at Triple Crown. Now, this is a new section in Triple Crown. Houses are anywhere from the 450s up to the 600s, and you're going to have access to that championship level golf course I mentioned, the clubhouse. And if you don't like to golf, you can also just get a social plan there where you just enjoy the meals and the pool. There's pickleball courts there. There's tennis courts. And again, like I said, when I drive people through this neighborhood and they're like, oh my gosh, like, what is that? I really like that. That happens quite a bit to people who aren't thinking about Northern Kentucky, but when they check out Union, they take a look at the public schools, they take a look at Triple Crown, they're like, yeah, I like that. I would really like to move there. It's a great community to live, but a benefit from a real estate standpoint, it does kind of come with its own prestige effect. Like, it's been the premier neighborhood in Northern Kentucky for, like I said, about over 30 years now. And let's say you're looking to move to the area and you're not exactly sure how long you're going to be here. Let's say you have a job and you're like, it may work out. I might be there 20 years, but I might be there 2, 3, 5 years. Triple Crown is a great neighborhood because it's appreciated really well, but there's also a lot of really strong comps. So let's say you do have to move again for your job in the future. It's a great neighborhood to know that if you need to sell in a few years, you're going to get the value out of your home. All right, the last community I want to hit is also in Northern Kentucky. It's kind of like, I don't want to call it Triple Crown Light, but in a way it is. So if you're looking at Northern Kentucky and you're like, I like Union, I like the Boone County Public Schools, whether that's Ryle High School or Cooper High School, you might want to consider Ballyshannon, which is also in Union, Kentucky. Now, the great thing about Ballyshannon is there are a lot of different home types to choose from. You've got patio homes for low maintenance housing, you've got condos, you've got townhomes, and you've got single family housing. There is a ton of development and a lot of different options to choose from in Ballyshannon. Now, you don't have the championship level golf course, but you do have a pool and a cabana and walking trails and sidewalks. And the middle school of Ballyshannon is right in the middle of the community. So if you're a family that's looking to move to the area and you want to have a lot of friends for your kids, you want that safe suburban feel with sidewalks, with playgrounds, with pools, and a lot of friends for your kids to choose from, Ballyshannon might be the right spot for you. I'll share a quick recent story of some buyers that I had come into town, actually from Maryland. They were moving to the area. They had some family here, so they were relocating. And we were looking on the Ohio side, specifically kind of around the Batavia area. We were actually looking at Harvest Meadows with Fisher Homes because there's an amazing tax abatement there from Fisher Homes. And they were thinking Ohio. They were also looking up kind of in the Mainville, Morrow area as well. But the wife was like, I've heard about Union, Kentucky. I've heard about Ballyshannon. I want to go down there and take a look. We went down there, they took a look, and they instantly fell in love. And again, this happens over and over again when I have clients who are looking to relocate here. They're only thinking Ohio. They're not thinking about Northern Kentucky. But this was one example where they saw Union, they saw all the amenities, they saw the growth there, they saw Ballyshannon, and they were like, yep, that's what I want. The price point was great for them as well. Very comparable, if not better, than what they were looking at in Ohio. So they signed a contract that day. I've got one more. It's a bonus pick for you back on the Ohio side. This is Carriage Meadows by Marana Homes. It's up in Liberty Township. So you're getting those Lakota schools. So very similar to Triple Crown or Ballyshannon, where you have a strong resale component. This one in Carriage Meadows with Marana Homes is going to have that same thing where you're going to have those strong comps in a really highly desirable school district. Going to be a little bit less than the pricing in Mason. When you're in this area of Liberty Township, you're going to be in that $500,000 to $700,000 range for these homes, but it's a really strong pull for buyers to be in that area. If you're thinking about resale on the seller side, this might be another neighborhood that you consider. All right, now let's connect all these projects and all these new builds into what actually matters. How can you negotiate smarter and save money both now and in the future? So if you're a buyer and you're thinking about buying in these downtown areas where these projects are, what you might be able to do is negotiate the near-term construction pain and say, like, look, I know this is going to be a problem for either this year or a few years to come when you're talking about the Brent Spence project. You can negotiate down a lower rate right now, and then as those projects finish up, you're going to benefit from that equity, from that appreciation when you have a stronger downtown core area or places where you're going to have a better commute thanks to the Brent Spence Bridge. In terms of new construction, if you're a buyer, what you want to think through are incentives, and you want to see there's a little bit more inventory happening in the Cincinnati market right now. So you want to kind of use that to your advantage. Specifically, where I think it's a really good time of year to buy new construction is in the tail end of the year, and maybe even those months of fall and winter when new construction builders have some products on their books and they're looking to sell those market ready or spec homes by the end of year so that they can build and build the other projects going into the next year. That's a great time to strike. You're often going to see really, really good incentives towards the end of the year when you're thinking about new construction. So whether you're looking to be downtown, more in that cultural hub and be next to all the action, or you want that safe, suburban neighborhood, be sure to reach out my team. An experienced real estate agent who knows how to help their buyers in this way can really help you in your negotiations and make sure to save you thousands of dollars now and think through the appreciation in the years to come. When you're a seller, it's all about the timing of when you list. You don't want to do it in the middle of the construction. You want to be doing it after like all of the wins have happened, right? When the construction is complete or there's a major announcement or there's new lanes open on the bridge. You want to time that just right so that you can get all that buyer demand so they can benefit. Otherwise, again, you're losing thousands of dollars on your sale if you're mistiming it. Now, what about if you're a seller and you're competing against these new construction neighborhoods? Well, you get to market and package what they don't have, right? Which is you have an established neighborhood. You have mature trees. You have finished basements. You have a price per square foot that's going to be a lot less, honestly, than new construction. And then also the buyers can move in right away. They don't have to wait for the new construction. They're not going to have to deal with all the new construction dust and equipment and nails that are popping your tires. So you have a lot to sell when you're going up against these new construction neighborhoods. And let me give a warning to sellers who bought in a new construction neighborhood and are thinking of selling right away. You've got to be really careful because you are competing against that builder still, and that can be very tough. If your home is priced in a similar price point as that new build, a lot of times those buyers just want the new build, right? Even if they could get in cheaper to your home that's 1 or 2 or 3 years old, they might say, yeah, but I could pay 20, 30, 50 grand more and have a new house that was built just for me. No one else has lived in it. So you've got to be careful if you're trying to sell your home in a neighborhood where new construction is still going on. There's multiple factors you got to consider in order to get the right price for your home. So here's the bottom line. Cincinnati's next 2 years are going to reward buyers who know how to act before major milestones are hit and know how to work those incentives with the builders. And it's going to reward sellers who know how to time and package their homes like pros. And the biggest mistake I see is people who are treating Cincinnati like it's standing still. And clearly it is not. There's growth in the downtown corridor, and there's growth in these neighborhoods all around the city, both on the Ohio side and the Kentucky side. Buyers can miss out if they're not thinking about the neighborhoods that are growing and the expansion in the different areas around town. They might buy in a neighborhood where the value is not going to hold, and sellers are missing out if they're not timing the market properly, if they're not thinking about these projects and how they're going to impact their sale. Investors are missing out too if they're not thinking about these growth projects and how it can impact them from an investment and rental standpoint. And if you're not thinking through these developments in these neighborhoods and where Cincinnati is growing, I promise you, it's not just going to be inconvenient, it's going to be very, very expensive. Cincinnati is changing fast, and it's critically important that you understand where these development trends are happening, where the growth is occurring, and you're working with a real estate agent who knows these trends so that you can make the wisest possible real estate decision. Hey guys, again, my name is Eric, and my team, Team Sztanyo, is one of the top performing real estate teams here in the Cincinnati area. In fact, we're in the 1% within Keller Williams in a multi-state region. We've got over 100 5-star Google reviews. Feel free to check that out. And if you're thinking about buying or selling in 2025 or 2026, you can reach out to us directly. But if you're not ready to reach out yet, that's totally fine. We've created a free relocation guide that you can download right now. The link is going to be in the description, so be sure to check that out. It's over 20 pages. It's super helpful for getting to know the area and some of these trends so you can make some wise decisions. If you are ready to reach out, you can email me directly at info@teamsztanyo.com. You can call or text me at 513-813-6293. Guys, I hope this was helpful for you so you can make a smart decision whether you're buying or selling in the Cincinnati area. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.